Marc, thanks very much for joining me.
Good. Good to talk to you.
We're here in gorgeous Monterey, California for the Triennial Conference of the International Society for Seed Science, which you're hosting this year. Can you give me a snapshot of your background and your role with the society?
Well, I've been a seed biologist at UCDavis since 1982, and the International Society for Seed Science is a relatively new organization. It actually began about 1999 by discussions among seed scientists around the world that we really felt we needed to have an organization that identified seed biology as a discipline, like weed science or plant pathology or something else. It's a very important part of plant biology and agriculture. And eventually that happened. We started the society, and my role, I was the first secretary of the society, first 2 rounds, 6 years, to work with particularly Michael Black, a seed scientist in England, who did a lot of work to get our charter started, get us established as an official organization, and get some of our procedures underway.
What importance does the ISSS have to the global seed industry? Give me a couple examples of some accomplishments that have been attributed to the work of society members.
Well, of course, seeds are the start of a large fraction of agriculture. Many of our major crops start from seeds, and therefore seed quality and the ability of seeds to germinate quickly and uniformly, resist stress, and so on at that time is very important to establishing crops. Many things have come from fundamental research like this. Seed priming, which is a way to speed up germination and get seeds to germinate more uniformly, came out of this type of research. Many aspects of seed quality in terms of how they develop on the plants and what the features are of high quality, manipulating germination through hormones, understanding how to break dormancy, managing weed seeds, for example, in a way that reduces dependence on herbicides. These are all things that depend upon seed biology and understanding how seeds work.
What's the thinking behind holding a meeting here in California and Monterey specifically? What importance does this region have for California's agriculture?
Well, we specifically chose to do this in Monterey because it is a beautiful spot, but it's also just about 30 minutes from Salinas, which is the center of the world as far as seed production and seed biology and vegetable production particularly. We were very fortunate to have yesterday to take some of the participants, on tours around this area, show them the very dynamic vegetable production going on in this area, which of course, the majority of which is started from seeds. And so we were able to visit seed companies in the area. We were able to see transplant operations, visited one that gave the number of 1 billion seeds a year utilized in their operation to support the vegetable industry particularly, that provides about half of the vegetables for the United States and much for export. So it's very important. Many seed companies want to operate in California because they want to breed varieties adapted to our climate, because we're a very important market, and also very important for seed production because we have very varied and exceptional climates for producing high quality seed. We have many different temperature regimes, but we also have generally dry, warm summers where you can allow seeds to mature. You don't have threats of early frost, you don't have threats of high humidity and so on for disease pressure. So it has many advantages for being one of the global seed production and breeding areas.
You're also doing some exciting research yourself on the flowering time of plants. What exactly have you found? Can you tell me a little bit about that in layman's terms?
This is an interesting project where our initial interest was really seed dormancy, so we're working on seed dormancy, and other researchers in our organization had identified certain genes that delayed germination that were known to be involved in dormancy, and we were working on those. We showed that those were involved in the inhibition of germination of lettuce seeds at high temperature, for example. We plant lettuce seeds in very warm seasons sometimes, and we've been working on how do we enable those seeds to germinate, because if they don't, we don't get a crop. So surprisingly, out of that research, we learned that if we manipulated the expression, the activity of that gene, we could show that we could get seeds to germinate at high temperature, but we also affected flowering. And so it was very surprising in a way initially to think that something that would affect seed dormancy would also affect flowering. But it turns out once we dug into it, the effect is acting through a system that plants use to really regulate their entry into the next part of their life cycle. Plants have to go seed, seedling, juvenile plants, adult plants, flowering, and then they make more seeds. And they start the whole process all over again. And so plants are always paying attention to their environment. They're understanding how big am I? Am I big enough to set a good amount of seeds, or is stress coming that I need to get busy and make seeds very quickly? So they're very attuned to their environment, and we believe what we found is just one way that plants, depending on the environment in which the seeds are produced, that determines what dormancy they have, but it also sets up a condition to where maybe I need to flower a little quicker because I'm being produced later in the season. So it has a lot of implications both for ecology, for weeds, for example, how they're managed to create seed banks, but also to give us some very direct ways perhaps to promote flowering when we want to, or inhibit it when we don't want flowering, which is also an important production.
Before I let you go, what importance does the ISSS have for you personally and as a researcher?
Societies like this for scientists are very important. We need to get together. We need to share our results with each other for several reasons. One, to get feedback, get stimulated with new questions, new ideas, have our results challenged and see if we need to do another experiment. But also, excuse me, to advance the science. That is, we like to get together and advance the science. And create communities of communication and cooperation and so on. That is, we try to emphasize student presentations and so on, who then can be recruited to other labs as postdocs and eventually become professors or leaders of research groups and companies and pass this on. So for me personally, I've been in seed biology for 30 years or so. These are my personal friends as well as being scientific colleagues. So those types of relationships are very important.
So I understand, Kent, the next meeting will be on the southern coast of England, am I correct?
It's going to be in southern England. Kew Gardens will be one of the sponsors. They have a location both in London and they have one in south of England near Wakehurst, so they'll be part of it, and then the meeting will be on the southern coast of England.
Thanks to you so much for your time today, Kent.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for your help in getting the word out about the exciting seed biology that's going on here.